I'm Jennifer, 33. Today is my birthday, and my lake house is filled with warmth and joy. Colleagues and friends are here to celebrate with me, a stark contrast to last year when I sat alone in my apartment with a store-bought cake. It all started when I was 32. After a grueling 14-hour workday at Zenith Marketing, I achieved another milestone. The client was over the moon after my presentation. As I walked into my apartment building's lobby that Tuesday evening, the click of my heels echoed in the emptiness. I checked my phone constantly, but there were no messages or calls. I was trying to convince myself that it didn't matter. I was a grown-up handling multi-million-dollar accounts. Birthdays were for kids. But when I opened my apartment door, the small cake I'd bought for myself sat on the coffee table, a silent accuser. A single unlit candle in the center made me feel so pathetic. I decided to distract myself with work on my laptop. Instead, I ended up on Facebook. There, I saw my brother Lucas, surrounded by our entire extended family, celebrating his promotion. My father, Henry, had his arm around Lucas, beaming with pride, and my mother, Olivia, was smiling up at her son. The photos were posted on my birthday. Memories of past neglect came flooding back. When I was 11, I waited at a restaurant for my family to return from Lucas's debate competition. They promised to be back in time for my birthday, but they weren't. At 17, I was sent to Grandma's house on my birthday weekend while my parents toured Stanford with Lucas. My father said it was for Lucas's future. Even my college graduation was overshadowed by Lucas's engagement announcement. Just then, I got an email about my performance bonus of $82,000 for a successful campaign at Zenith. Right after that, my mother called. She wanted me to help with Lucas and his wife, Lily's, anniversary party. When I reminded her it was my birthday, she feigned surprise and said it slipped their minds. 4 days later at work, I accidentally joined a family group chat. My father, Henry, wrote that I should contribute at least $20,000 to Lucas's anniversary gift. My mother, Olivia, agreed, saying it was time I supported the family. She even misspelled my name in the chat. My friend, Sarah, noticed I was upset. I showed her that Lucas had used our contacts at Novatech for his investment firm without asking me. It was the third time he'd done this. Just then, my boss, Mr. Thompson, came in to tell me that a campaign I'd worked on had increased the client's revenue by 41%. He said I'd earned every penny of my bonus. That evening, I went to visit Mrs. Harris, my 85-year-old neighbor. We had a weekly ritual of me bringing takeout and her providing cookies. I told her about the family's demands and Lucas's misuse of my contacts. She said some parents are too focused on one child and can't see the other clearly. On a Saturday evening, I went to my parents' mansion for dinner. The house was filled with luxury, but I felt out of place. During dessert, my father brought up the topic of my contribution to Lucas's anniversary. I refused, saying it was a quarter of my bonus, and I had other plans. My mother tried to guilt-trip me, but I finally snapped and asked what they'd ever done for me. My father was furious and said Lucas was the real achiever in the family. I walked out, feeling both terrified and resolved. After that, my mother called every morning, scolding me for being rebellious. My father even came to my workplace, saying I should honor my family obligations. But I stood my ground. 3 weeks after my birthday, I was in a cafe and saw a group of friends celebrating a girl's birthday. I realized I'd never have that kind of celebration with my family, so I decided to buy a lake house in Michigan. I found a perfect 4-bedroom house with a wooden deck and mature pine trees. I made a substantial down payment and got the mortgage approved quickly. I spent weekends transforming the lake house. I filled the walls with awards and photos of my achievements. I typed out housewarming invitations, but I didn't include my family. I only invited those who truly celebrated me. When I posted a photo of myself at the lake house on social media, my family went crazy. My mother left frantic voicemails, and my cousin, Emily, called to say people were gossiping about me. But I didn't care. My mother called again, saying I'd caused an uncomfortable situation for the family and wanted to organize a family dinner to fix things. I agreed to come on a Tuesday, but I said I'd bring photo albums. At the family dinner, I presented the albums. One was filled with photos of Lucas's birthdays and achievements, while mine had mostly empty pages. I also showed a spreadsheet of family spending, which clearly showed the disparity between what was spent on Lucas and me. I even read from an old diary where I'd hoped my family would remember my birthday. My father finally admitted that they'd favored Lucas. My mother broke down in real tears, saying they hadn't meant to neglect me. A year later, on this birthday, Lucas showed up at my party with a wrapped package. Inside was a framed photo of me at 7, laughing on a tire swing. He said he'd found it in my father's storage and had it restored. Then, my mother came with a cupcake. She remembered I liked carrot cake. As I sit here on my deck, watching the stars reflect on the lake, I know I've finally learned to choose myself. The voices of my family's past neglect are fading, and I'm surrounded by love and support from the people who truly see me.